guys. Thank you. Welcome, and thank you guys. That was absolutely fantastic. We really appreciate that. My name is Tim Castle. I'm the art teacher here at MCC. And before we begin with Diaries and Siri coming up to the stage, we need to offer some words of gratitude. So could all the members of the Diversity Committee please stand forward and give a little wave to show us who you are? Come on, ladies. So hard behind the scenes with Siri to shape this event. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. I'd like to give a shout out to our provost. Come on, Robin, stand up there. Our provost backed this from the get-go, wholeheartedly. I think that's very important. It says a lot about our college. Thank you, Robin. Really appreciate it. Who else do we have to thank? We have to thank our honored guests for coming tonight. I'm going to let Siri introduce you, but I just want to say thank you so much. Your bravery, your resiliency, everything that you have committed to tonight says so much. We appreciate it a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't think I can come up here and talk about some of the things I've been through, which is nothing like what you have been through. So, again, thank you so much. It means so much to us. Well, a big shout out to Dave Young too, because he's helped us with our sound system. We're all technically inept here, so we really needed him to come along. That was most important. Last but not least, of course, is Mr. Siri Garcia, who is a former MCC student, and very dear to my heart is this young man. He's a wonderful gentleman, a cool dude, a great artist, and this is all his vision. This is his work, not ours. We just helped him a little bit, but it's really about him tonight and his guests. So please give a big warm welcome to Mr. Siri Garcia.
You guys here? Yeah. Let me drink some water real quick. My mom drives real quick. I don't want to swallow no ice cubes because it's really crazy. Okay. I memorized my speech. I should be all right today. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for coming out. Truly appreciate it. I've always had this dream in my mind of having my own art show. I remember the first time that I became an artist, I wrote down on a piece of paper, art show coming soon. From that day on, I couldn't wait to tell my story, how I became a painter. So much love and appreciation for the people that helped that, wait. Don't look at me. That helped me make this dream possible. So shout out to Diaries for helping me get my ideas together. My ideas were a mess in the beginning. So she helped me, shout out to her. Shout out to the Diversity Committee for helping me set everything up. Appreciate it. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Garcia. I'm a freelance artist and a screen printer. I graduated from MCC 2016 and then went on to DMAC to learn graphic design. Okay, I gotta breathe a little bit. So let me breathe. Okay, talk too fast sometimes, I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about Tim Castle now because he introduced me and he's the man. Where you at, Tim? Oh, he's hired. All right. So the first time I met Tim Castle, who would later become one of my biggest mentors, was in high school. We toured his art studio. We got to hear him talk about his art program. First day I met him, it was like I met an art god. The sun hit this man in the face and gold mirrored back, I felt like. I felt like I was in a movie when this man was narrating all his programs and everything. So I was like, I gotta come here. On the bus ride home, I told myself, I gotta come here. So I did. Tim helped me become a better artist. I took all of his classes, learned a lot about becoming a better artist, from learning perspective to learning patterns. Tim always had something new for me to learn. And I appreciate that, Tim. Because without you, I wouldn't be the artist I am today. I wouldn't be Siri Castle. So thank you, Tim. Round of applause. Tim is definitely that dude. So while at Marshalltown, I got to do my first mural. It's at Icaramba and Main Street. From that day on, my art career blossomed. I opened up my commissions and had a new order almost every day. Since then, I've done 10 more murals, thousands of paintings, thousands of custom kits, jackets, logos, posters, you name it. I stayed busy. The grind never stops. My life is going great. I have a wonderful family, beautiful son, and I got a lot of opportunities coming out for me. But my life wasn't always great. In Texas, I failed the 7th grade. I was expelled for threatening to kill the vice principal of the scalpel. My life was headed downhill. I was fucking up, I'm just gonna say that. I was messing up. I'm sorry about cussing, but close your ears. There's a baby somewhere, so close that baby's ear. Not you, Jacob. Close that ear. Yeah, so I was messing up, and I needed a way out. And that way out was a phone call. My Aunt Rita was right there. She called me and she asked me, do you want to come up here to Ames, Iowa? I thought about it. I didn't want to leave my family, so I did. Sorry, family left y'all, but I had to go. So Rita changed my whole life. She motivated me to go to school, motivated me to go to work, and after that, I never failed a class again. So shout out to Rita. Can we give Rita a round of applause? So without her, I wouldn't be here at all. I'd be somewhere, 10 baby mamas doing something crazy. So shout out to Gina Lou right there. So, my bad, I got a lot of topic there. Okay, so my mom and dad moved around a lot. I didn't want to move, I wanted to live in Ames. That's where Gina was at. So when my mom moved to Ames, I moved with my mom, and when my parents would leave they would bounce everywhere. When I say they moved a lot, they moved a lot. They would move to Ames, they would move to Minnesota, Texas, just random places. So when they would come here, I'd move with them, and when they would leave, I'd move back in freedom. Most of my high school year, my father was incarcerated, and my senior year, my dad was incarcerated again. This man gets locked up for the weirdest stuff, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Look at my little brother laughing right there, he knows it's true. So, yeah, he get locked up for the weirdest stuff, man. Peeing outside, eating a cookie with the cookie jar. But nah, he get locked up a lot. So, my senior year, he was locked up. My mother had joined me here in Ames, and I wanted to graduate high school and go to college. I got a really good art scholarship at the beginning of the spring, and then 3 weeks later, my mother got deported. She was driving while barred, and she was driving while barred. That's all I gotta say. They deported her, and she volunteered to deport herself for 5 years. She didn't want to stay and fight it, so she had to go. And to make things worse, my father got arrested again. All I remember was coming home, seeing my dad crying. He said, "Miko, they took your mom," with tears flowing down his eyes. I went in my room, slammed the door, and didn't come out until the next day. I didn't know if I wanted to go to school anymore. I didn't want to do shit, to be honest. So after that, I went to school and I told my art instructor, Shelly Hasselbrock, and my counselor, Julie Bryant, they helped me out a lot. They helped me find scholarships, and they motivated to keep my art dream alive. So once again, I moved back in Rita. She let me in again. If it wasn't for her taking me when I was 13, I wouldn't be here, like I keep saying. She really took a chance on me. So much love for Rita, and seeing her work 3 jobs every day just to make a decent living, man, that's crazy. It still motivates me to this day. So probably when I get home in the paint, I'm just trying to get that money, girl. So thank you, Rita. Thank you so much. Right now, I'm going to present to you this painting that made me become a painter. At first, I hated painting. I love drawing, but I hated painting. So I didn't really understand that people really do put paint into the paintings. No pun intended, really. But this is my painting. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. When I was painting this, you guys my girl back there. I was crying. Man, how long was I crying, bro?
All night.
It wasn't all night, girl. It was an hour. Like 30 minutes, bro. So I'm gonna show you this painting for real. This painting, I never wanted to paint it because it scarred me for life. Seeing my mom being incarcerated, I couldn't do it. So here it is. My bad if I get a little teary. Some of these stories you're gonna hear tonight are gonna be emotional. So we got Kleenexes, but we don't got a lot. So wipe your fingers. So can y'all see it okay, everybody? Okay. So after my mom got deported for one of my class projects, I just let it all out and I wrote something. So I'm not the best at reading, please let me just read a little bit. So this is what I wrote. I went to my mom's hearing and I could hardly stand the pain of seeing her cry. She looked so little in that green and white jumpsuit. When the hearing was over, she asked the bailiff if she could hug me. The bailiff said yes. When my mother and I were hugging, it took me to a place where we didn't have to worry about anything, where we were all together. I could feel her shaking as she clung to me, not knowing if she'd be able to see me again. From that day on, I knew what I had to do, and that's painting. From that day on, I saw everything as a painting. Painting was very therapeutic for me. I couldn't wait to paint my story and other stories you'll see tonight. So this painting right here, it's not what this said, but it's what I felt inside. It took a lot out of me not to cry in this situation, but everybody around me was tearing up and I just couldn't. I felt like I had a rock in my throat. So this is what I felt inside. I felt like my skeleton was just coming out. I had to take a shit, and that's what that shit is right there. I really did. I felt like my world was over. So this is my world. It kind of looks like Nicolas Cage, but my world was over. And then I couldn't, to be honest, I couldn't paint my mom. So I drew her kind of like as a voodoo doll. I just couldn't do it. I mean, it was already painful enough to paint it. Now I got to paint a realistic portrait of my mom. Hell no. So this is my painting. Some of the stories you'll hear tonight are immigrants coming to America, and you'll hear some of the obstacles they've had to overcome. These are great people, these are great stories, and even better stories to paint. Some other paintings you'll see in the gallery are paintings of Mexican American heroes of mine, whether it's Speedy Gonzalez, Eddie Guerrero, or even Rey Mysterio. Others will be stories I heard growing up, stories of families being affected by deportation, families being affected by coming to America, and how I see myself in this world. These are all great stories. These are all great diaries. Welcome to Dream Diaries. Thank you. Okay, so now my panel can come up here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So our first panelist will be Tessa Musa, and she's going to present her story. Please.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Tessa Musa. I'd like to share my story with you guys. My mother and I came here in 2000 as refugees, and my story starts in 1994. My parents got married. My parents are from Sudan, and my mother was in Sudan when my father wasn't leaving at the time. When my father came back to Sudan, he was stopped at the airport by the police, and all of his documents were confiscated. He was attending this meeting that was the opposing party of the Sudanese government at the time, and his name was written down along with many other of his colleagues. When he was at the airport, he had to stay for 3 days until he was released. It was somewhere around 3 o'clock in the morning. He called a friend of his to talk about the situation, and he knew that many of his friends and many people who attended the opposing party's conference were also in the same situation. He had to leave that night and he went to Ethiopia. While he was in Ethiopia, he had to wait 4 years with no documents for him to leave, and at the time he was working with the branch of the UN for refugees. When my father was in Ethiopia, he was able to send one letter to my mom, and that letter was that she go to Egypt and wait for him. And as my father requested, my mom did. She went to Egypt and she waited 2 years. After 2 years, there was no contact. She didn't know what happened to him. So my mom remarried and decided that it's best that we come to America. And she filed to become a refugee to come, and we came to Ames, Iowa. During that time, my father was able to come back. He was pardoned by the government. When he came back to Sudan, his family was gone. My mother and I were gone. And he would go to Egypt 3 times a year from 2000 to 2005 to find my mother and I. And the refugee agency that we went through, they didn't have any information on us, no contact information, no address, and all of my mom's family were gone. So he traveled 3 times a year just to go to find us, and he never did until 2005. But I want to talk a little bit about when my mother and I first came to the United States and after 9/11. My mom is sitting here in the front, and she wears her hijab, and it was very hard for her. She didn't know English coming to the United States, so she would take ESL classes and learn, as well as take care of me. And I remember one day, my mom was taking me to daycare, and this car drove by and started yelling at her and calling her a terrorist and all of these things. And I didn't understand it from such a young age because, of course, you don't look at things that way. You don't look at people different. I think my mom wearing the hijab is so beautiful, so I don't look at it any other way. And I want to kind of relate my story to today. My mother and I came here legally, but what's the difference between somebody coming here legally looking for a better life and somebody coming here illegally? Why are man-made borders dividing people is what I honestly believe. That's basically putting a price on someone's life and telling them that they're not valuable. And we look at people today who come from immigrants, who, for example, Steve Jobs, his family immigrated here from Syria. And we look at those people and we value those lives, but why is it that when people cross the border and come here, we don't look at them the same? And if we're going to be honest, they didn't cross the border crossed them. We are not native to this country. So who are we to say who can have an opportunity and who can't? Thank you.
Sorry, I gotta get in water. It's really hot. Okay, so I'm gonna present Tessa with the painting I made for her. All right, and I wrote a little something here for her. Okay, Tessa, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, let me see. Okay. You can put that next to it. I put tape on your mouth because they wouldn't allow you to speak your language. You said the story, okay. Put tape in your mouth because they wouldn't let you speak your language. It's ripping now because you have the ability to speak out for your people. The profile in the sky is Matter. He is a peaceful protester that was killed in Sudan, and that's what I have the blue for Sudan. And she's all about that. I put the Twin Towers down here for 9/11, and when you said that you were wearing your hijab, and people were telling you, telling your mom, F you, fuck you, and doing, not to you. So they were saying all this stuff to you. I put that there, but I put the painting staring because it's strong, and you've overcame a lot. So thank you, Tessa, for being here. The next person that's going to speak is Juan.
Hola, hola, mi nombre es Juan Olvera. Tengo 33 años, perdón, quiero ponerme más. Nací en el Estado de México. A una corta edad, mis padres decidieron mudarse con mis abuelos a un pueblo muy pequeño en el estado de Michoacán.
Hello, my name is Juan Olvera. I am 33 years old and I was born in Mexico City. At a very young age, my parents decided to move with my grandparents to a very small town in the state of Michoacán.
Yo estaba muy contento perdón, porque me encantaba la idea de visitar a mis abuelos. Yo era un niño muy alegre, sonriente, me encantaba bailar, hablar con las personas y siempre trataba de verme bien.
I was very happy because I loved the idea of visiting my grandparents. I was a cheerful, smiling child. I loved to dance, talk to people, and always tried to dress very well.
Todo esto cambió al momento de comenzar a ir a la escuela. Como yo venía de una ciudad grande, me veía actuaba diferente que el resto de mis compañeros. Desde muy niño sabía que yo era gay.
All this changed at the time that I started going to school. As I came from a big city, I looked and acted differently than the rest of my classmates. This was also because since I was a child, I knew I was gay.
Ellos comenzaron a burlarse de mí, de mi forma de hablar, mi forma de vestir, hasta mi forma de caminar. Esto pasaba día a día. Primero fueron burlas, insultos, después comenzaron a golpearme.
They began not to talk to me and to make fun of me, the way I spoke, the way I dressed, and even the way I walked. This happened day by day. First they were teasing and insults, and then they started beating me.
Después de unos meses, mis padres decidieron ir a Estados Unidos y me dejaron a mí y a mis hermanos con mis abuelos. Ahora me sentía muy solo y tenía miedo. A mis compañeros me golpeaban todo el tiempo, no estaba seguro ni en mi casa ni en la calle, perdón.
After a few months, my parents decided to go to the United States, and they left me and my sisters with my grandparents. Now I felt very lonely and I was afraid. My classmates will beat me all the time. I was not safe at school, at home, or in the streets.
Traté de buscar ayuda, pero sabía que mis abuelos no estaban así que decidí ir con mi maestro. Le di la queja que mis compañeros me golpeaban y me insultaban. Su respuesta fue, bueno, actúa normal, ellos dejarán de molestarte.
I tried to get help, but I knew my grandparents wouldn't understand, so I decided to go to my teacher. I told him that my classmate will beat me and make fun of me. His response was, well, act normal and I will stop bothering you.
Al ver esta reacción de una persona que pensé que me podría ayudar, salí corriendo de la escuela llorando, pensando por qué la gente me rechazaba. Pensé, nadie me quería y no valía nada. Intenté quitarme la vida. Después de esto, mi verdad después, estoy nervioso. De estos cambios, un cambio completo, ya no sonreía, ya no quería ir a la escuela, ya no era feliz. Mi mayor deseo era salir de este pueblo, irme a otro lugar, donde pensé que sería feliz.
Seeing the reaction from this person who I thought could help me, I ran out of school crying, thinking, why do people reject me? I thought that nobody loved me and that I was worthless. I tried to end my life. After this, my life and attitude changed completely. I no longer smile, I no longer wanted to go to school, and I was no longer happy. My greatest desire was to leave that town and go to another place where I could be happy.
Cuando tenía 16 años tuve la oportunidad de venir a Estados Unidos. Como todo inmigrante pasé por muchos obstáculos para poder llegar a este país. Pero todo sería mejor de donde estaba. Pensé en algún lugar donde pueda ser quien soy de verdad. Pero me equivoqué ahora, solamente iría discriminado por ser gay o por la manera de vestir. Ahora también me discriminarían por ser mexicano o latino.
When I was 16, I had the opportunity to come to the United States. As every immigrant goes through many obstacles to get to this country, but everything would be better than where I was. I thought it was a place where I can be who I really am and be happy. But I was wrong. Not only was I discriminated against for being gay or because of the way I dressed, now I was also discriminated against for being Mexican or Latino.
Yo no quería ir a la escuela por miedo a pasar lo mismo por lo que había pasado en México. Así que preferí trabajar. Comencé a trabajar a los 16 años, pero en el trabajo también me discriminaban se burlaban de mí y me despreciaban porque era muy pequeño y muy flaco. La gente decía que no podría trabajar y no me querían ahí, pero también quería sobrevivir y pues no había otra salida más que trabajar.
I did not want to go to school for fear of going through the same thing because of what happened in Mexico, so I preferred to work. I started working at the age of 16, but at work they also discriminated against me. They made fun of me and despised me because I was so small and skinny. People said I could not work and they didn't want me there, but I had to survive it. Well, there was no other way but to work.
De a long time ago, and skinny. Con el transcurso de los años comencé a crecer y a aprender a valerme por mí mismo. Pero aún así no podía ser en realidad quien yo soy. Después de varios años conocí a quien ahora es mi esposo, el que me ha apoyado en todo lo que he querido hacer. Él me ha ayudado a conseguir lo que he querido, pero me faltaba algo, así que busqué una asociación y comencé a hacer drag shows y creé un personaje que para mí era mi reflejo, tal y como yo soy.
Over the years, I began to grow and learn to fend for myself, but I still couldn't really be who I am. After several years, I met who is now my husband, who has supported me in everything, and I wanted him to help me to get what I wanted. But I was missing something, so I looked for a solution and started doing drag and creating a character that reflects me as I am.
Bueno, Sofía Rico es un personaje valiente, atrevida y muy segura de sí misma. Sofía me ha ayudado a vencer los miedos e inseguridades que yo tenía.
Sophia is a brave, daring, and very confident person. Sophia has helped me overcome the fears and insecurities that I have.
He participado en muchos concursos de drag como Sofía, en los cuales gané el título de Miss Gay Latina Iowa 2015, 2016 y Miss Gay Latina Des Moines 2016. Yo considero el drag como arte en cual puede reflejar, proyectar la verdadera personalidad.
I've participated in many drag competitions such as Sophia, in which I won the title of Miss Gay Latina Iowa 2015 and 2016 and Miss Gay Latina Des Moines 2016. I consider drag as an art in which I could reflect and project my true personality.
Al haber ganado los concursos me he abierto muchas puertas. Después de haber ganado este título, hubo muchas complicaciones por la misma comunidad gay. No estaba de acuerdo en que yo hubiese ganado, que llegó el punto de que nos agredieron a mí, a mi esposo. Eso nos afectó a los dos.
Having won the competitions has opened many doors for me. But after getting these titles won, there were many complications because the same gay community did not agree that I had won. That I got to the point that they assaulted us, me and my husband. This affected us both very much.
Comencé a asistir a organizaciones sin fines de lucro, el cual ayuda a víctimas de violencia y abuso. Con el tiempo yo también comencé a ayudar a las personas.
I started attending a non-profit organization that helps victims of abuse and violence. Over time, I also began to help other people.
Con los títulos de Sofía, comencé a hacer shows en muchas ciudades e incluso otros estados y empecé a recaudar fondos para apoyar organizaciones que ayudan a víctimas de violencia y personas que viven con el VIH.
With the titles that Sophia has, I started doing drag shows in many cities and even other states. I started raising funds to support organizations that help victims of violence and also organizations that help people live with HIV.
Ahora soy feliz, tengo mi propia familia, vivo mi vida tal y como yo quiero. Ya no me afecta lo que otras personas digan de mí. He aprendido que en este país pasar por muchos obstáculos. Ahora estoy asistiendo a la escuela para aprender inglés, para un futuro estudiar cualquier cosa que yo pueda hacer.
Now I'm happy I have my own family and live my life as I want. I am no longer affected by what other people say or think about me. I have learned that this country is a country of many opportunities and I can be what I want and achieve what I propose myself. Now I'm attending school and I'm learning English so that I can attend college in the future and do what I want to do.
Por último, solamente me gustaría decirles a todos aquellos que se sientan vulnerables o que estén sintiendo abuso o cualquier otro abuso, que no están solos, que busquen ayuda a su maestro, a sus padres, alguien a quien les tengan confianza. Gracias.
Lastly, I would like to tell everyone who feels vulnerable or who is being abused not to give up, and you're not alone. Thank you.
Yeah, that's Sophia right there. Okay, so I made two for him, because I owed him one. Okay. Okay. So, okay. I did two pieces for you. One is Sophia, and one is you. You put them together into one. Never stop being you one. This is your superhero. I mean, you're a superhero. You're an inspiration for people, for Hispanic culture, and for the Latinos. So, thank you, Juan, for being you. Okay. Sorry I didn't get it.
I was born in Baja California, but my family is undocumented immigrants when I was 3 and my brother was 2. So when she left Mexico, it wasn't an easy choice. And she had tried to apply for a worker's visa that was denied because she was poor. She didn't make enough money to provide anything for the United States. And with 2 children, it wasn't enough for her to qualify. Picking strawberries, she knew that she wasn't going to be able to make a living for us. So she chose to bring us to the United States. When we got to this country, I didn't know English. I didn't know what Iowa was like. The first time that I saw snow completely freaked me out. The first time we experienced Halloween and Christmas here was very different from our traditional posadas and spending time with our grandparents. But I grew up in Iowa, and everything to me was the same until it was time for me to obtain my license to drive. I told my mom, I need my Social Security, I'm gonna go get my license. And she was like, you don't have a Social Security. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I've been here all my life. I don't have a Social Security? And she's like, no. This is our status. And to me, it was kind of like, okay, but I've been here, I went to elementary school, I've done everything here. I'm in high school now, so whatever, just kind of move it off. In 2006, my mom was working at the JBS pork plant here in Marshalltown. And that morning, I remember I was 17 years old, and I remember getting ready for school like any other day. It was my junior year in high school. And as I'm getting ready, I'm telling my siblings, hurry up, we need to go to school, everybody needs to get ready. And my comadre calls me and she's like, ICE just raided the pork plant. And at that moment, I just felt my heart drop to my feet. And I couldn't breathe. I knew that she was in this country undocumented. And I knew that she could be deported. At that time, I kind of just grabbed my siblings and I took them to the only safe spot that I knew, which was school. And I remember walking into the house and looking at my brother, and we both left different ways. And I go into the classroom, one of my teacher's classrooms, and I just sat there and I started crying. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know who I was supposed to call. Who was I supposed to notify when I was now the adult in a situation that I shouldn't have to be an adult? So as I sat there and I cried, my teacher kept telling me it's gonna be okay, your family's gonna be okay. And I just kept looking at her like, how do you know? How do you know that she's not gonna be deported? How do you know that we're gonna be okay? And then my aunt called me and said, there's a rumor that ICE is going to pick up all the children that are left behind. And so I grab my things and I run out of the school and I go back to every school and pick up my siblings. And I remember taking them to my aunt's house, and as we sat there, I'm like, yeah, I have to do something. I have to find out where my mom is. And she's like, Maria, you don't have papers too, they're gonna end up taking you. And I'm like, I don't care, I need to know where my mom is. So I drove to the pork plant, and I just remember the streets being blocked off by different police cars. So I park the car and I take off running. And as I get to the fence, I see this short little Hispanic lady, and she was carrying this multicolored backpack, and her hands were cuffed. And I knew it wasn't my mother, I knew it wasn't her, but as I looked over the fence, that's all I pictured was my mom. And I dropped to my knees, and I watched her be arrested. And I watched them put her in a bus. And I remember a lady from church telling me, you have to be strong, you have to think about your siblings, you have to think of how you can help her. So I went out and I talked to an officer, and I said, I need to know where my mom's going. And he told me, no, you need to go get an adult so they can come and talk to us. And I was like, my mom is on that bus. That is the adult in my home. And he's like, well, this is the 1-800 number that you could call, and later on tonight, you'll find out where she's at. So I went back to my aunt's house, and I started calling the number. Every time I called, they'd tell me, no, young lady, you need to find an adult that can represent your mom. You need to find her a lawyer. And at that time, again, 17 years old, I'm like, who's gonna sign a contract with a 17-year-old and 4 younger siblings? Who's gonna help us? That night, I remember just all of us, my siblings and I, laying in my mom's bed, and none of us could talk. None of us could think, and all I could remember is just them breathing, just breathing. And I could hear once in a while a little whimper of a cry. And I kept telling myself, God, if you help us, if you help me get her out of there, if you help me find her, I promise that I will do anything that I can to help her. And it took us 24 hours to locate my mom. She had been sent to Camp Dodge. And when she finally called me, she's like, Maria, you need to take care of your siblings. You need to do anything possible to protect them because I'm going to fight our case. And we're going to go in front of an immigration lawyer. And I found a lawyer later on. We represented her case. We got over 230 signatures from people in Marshalltown that spoke on my mom's behalf, saying that she was a good citizen, that she was a good mother, and that she was a good person to have in this country. And my mother was granted permanent residency. So I thought my mom having her residency would help me and my brother obtain ours. When we sent our application in, 2 days later, laws changed and we aged out. She couldn't apply for us any longer. I mean, she could, but we still had to wait anywhere from 10 to 20 years. So she went ahead and applied for us, and later on, we became Obama administration presented DACA. DACA was my first opportunity to legally drive, to legally work. It was life-changing. At that time, I had already been married and I had my first child. And to me, it was amazing. I was able to take her to her appointments and pick her up without having to worry if the police was going to stop me or not. And I was able to provide for my family, to help and support my husband, to help and support my children. So it was a little Band-Aid on my whole situation. My husband is a U.S. citizen, and he applied for me. Our first time that we applied, our marriage had been fairly new. There wasn't enough evidence to prove that, we really got married because we loved each other and not for papers. The second time that I applied, I was told that I had never left this country in the last 26 years, and unless I had a legal entry, that my process could take another 10 to 20 years. And then I would have to wait for an appointment in Juarez, where I would have to prove that my husband could not live in the United States without me, that my children could not live in the United States without me. So during DACA, there was a process of advanced parole. Advanced parole means that you could travel to a country for an emergency or something related with school or education. So I took the opportunity to do advanced parole and visit Mexico for the first time in 25 years and see my grandma. When I went back, it was a shock. I am proud of being Latina, I'm proud of being Mexican. But that moment, when I got to a town that I didn't know, that I got to an environment that I didn't know and understand, the first time having to wash your clothes on a rock is life-changing. So while I was in Mexico, I left after talking with lawyers, after talking with other dreamers, after talking with organizations, and then them telling me, don't leave because current administration, as soon as that changes, you're gonna be left out of the country. And I thought about it hard, and my final choice came from my mom, where she was like, you gotta do what you gotta do for your family, and you gotta do what you gotta do for your children, and I gotta say little wiggles. Like, hold on, like, these are your big girl panties, so now you have to do something for your family. And that was the only reason that I left. On my way back in at the entry, Border Patrol stopped me right away. They told me that they didn't have the proper stamp that they needed for my documentation, so I had to go to a different area. And I said, perfect, how do I get there? And he was like, oh no, you don't get there, we're taking you. We're arresting you right now, and you're being arrested at the border by Border Patrol. And they put me in the back of this big truck and put me in a room where all of the detainees were. And I remember seeing moms and children coming in and them talking to them like they were animals. And all I could think about was my children back in Iowa. At that time, my son had just turned 3 years old while I was in Mexico. So it was a lot of emotion for me sitting there looking at this mother pleading for her children, while mine were back in Iowa, and I didn't know if I was going to be approved to go back home. I sat there for 2 hours, and then they finally let me go. But at that time, my bus had already left, so I had to catch a taxi. Luckily, the bus driver was hungry, and he stopped to eat, and I caught up to them. But as soon as I saw my sister, who was waiting for me on the bus, we just hugged each other, and I'm like, Chichi, please don't ever let me go. Don't ever let me listen to my mother. Like, I'm never going back. And I called my husband, and I called my children, and I just cried the entire way, 15 hours. I couldn't sleep by the time that I got to Marshalltown, Iowa. But as of April of this year, I'm a permanent resident. And even though I'm a resident now, I have survivor's remorse. A lot of individuals who are undocumented, and half of my family is still undocumented. And for me to be granted an opportunity because of marriage, and no other way, because of marriage, was the only reason that I was able to obtain my residency. And these individuals don't have the same opportunity as the rest of us, or the same privilege as the rest of us. It breaks my heart to see that. I know so many young and professionals, lawyers, nurses, doctors, that aren't able to obtain their degree because of their status, of their current status. As well as, our moms and dads that are still working out there trying to provide for our families. So what I do currently with my life, I am a co-organizer with Immigrant Allies here in Marshalltown. We are an organization that focuses on resources and education for immigrants, for new immigrants here in Marshalltown. We provide different resources. We help them. We have legal clinics here in Marshalltown that provides free services for people that wouldn't be able to pay an attorney that costs $5,000 or $10,000. As well as community potlucks. Just sitting here listening to each other's stories is very powerful and empowering for the community, in a community that's very diverse. So I'm a proud member, and the other organizer is Della Lavelle, which, she's always had our back 100%, even since 2006. And we have members like my mother, who's back there as well, and my husband, who is a police reserve, all working together to provide and to live in a diverse community. Thank you.
story is always beautiful. Even hearing it twice, it's better than second time. So this is your opinion, right? Okay. So I wrote just a little something. You are a big star. You are the sun. Your light helped you. With your light, you help your dreams grow and overcome. I also drew your siblings right here, and they look up to you, and they're growing because of you. And then right here in front of your mom, always smiling because you helped her out. And for that, we appreciate it. Thank you for everything you do and keep sharing your story. People need to hear what doesn't happen every day. And we appreciate it most definitely representing Latinos to be something like you out here. And I'm pretty sure you'll be president one day. I'm calling you right now. Thank you so much. Y'all see that? Yeah. For real. Okay, now George will come up and open the panel for some questions.
Thank you, Siri, very much. My name is George Johnson. For those of you who don't know me, I'm one of the business faculty here at Marshalltown Community College. And in about a minute, we're going to open this up for any questions that you might have for any of our three panelists and or Siri. But first off, I would like to allow you the opportunity to thank them all once again, to stand up here and tell us some very, very heart-wrenching stories. So if you would join me first in applauding them for what they do. And to come back, and the extent of questions we might get is something like, are you carrying any fruit? You know, so it's so easy for us and many times difficult to kind of understand what a lot of these folks are going through. So I'm going to now open this up. We'll spend some time, then we'll open up the food, and these art pieces are going to go on. Oh, excuse me, how can I forget that Cuts couldn't bring us to a close here? So, and we'll do that as well. So first off, questions. Any questions? Questions. Preguntas. Okay. Bear with me as I run back and forth.
Hello, my name is Kathy, and I kind of relate to you all stories because I have a testimony on my own, even though I was born here in America. And I wanted to ask Siri, I was kind of like here right at 7. I kind of missed the first part of your opening when you was telling your story, and I was wondering, could you just fill me in on what happened with your mom? And, you know, I came on the part where you all was hugging in the courtroom, so I missed the whole story, and I want to take notes, you know, because I have to do a paper. But I can't relate to you all, you know, stories, you know, really, I can. You know, and I feel it, you know, I feel your pain, you know. Because I've lived a similar pain on my own, just living here in the United States.
Yeah.
So you could just tell me what happened with your situation in the beginning. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I was staying with my aunt Vera, and my mom moved back and forth a lot. And when she actually finally came to stay in Ames, she had got arrested, and she had a theft charge, and she was driving while hard, and they deported her. The judge said no bond, no pardon, so she had to voluntarily deport herself.
That was the name?
Yeah, that was the name. She wasn't with I met Maria, and she knew everything. Well, not everything, yeah, she knows everything, but I mean, everything I wanted to do in the situation. I'm like, we didn't know what to do, so that's why I think Maria was big time for that.
Okay. And how old was you?
How old was I?
Yeah.
18.
18?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Questions for the panelists? Okay, got one right here.
Hi. I just want to say to Maria and Tessa, your story and both being women of color definitely inspired me so much, and to be an immigrant on top of that, it's just, you guys are truly amazing. And I guess for Tessa, I want to know how was it to be an outsider in Sudan and America, and how you coped with that, and how you worked through it, and your support, how you found your support?
Yeah, my support comes definitely from my family and my friends, especially my mom. She made sure that I didn't lose my language, didn't lose my culture, and made sure that I knew who I was. And I think that's very important coming into a melting pot like this, just to remember where you come from.
You still speak your native tongue, Tessa?
Yes.
Next. Questions? Questions?
Tessa, I want to say, we could see just how much you love your mother when the water was brought to her from your table. I thought that was impressive. But my question is for you, Juan. You talked about your struggles, I guess you want to translate to your struggles during your time in school. My question then would be, what advice would you give to someone today who is going through that same struggle based on what you went through? How would you help them go through that? Because there are a lot of students who are going through that.
Mi consejo para las personas que estén pasando tal vez por lo que yo pasé o peor, diríjanse a un consejero, a un maestro o a sus padres, tal vez, para que les puedan ayudar a encontrar una solución.
My advice to people that are struggling like I was, it would be to seek help with a counselor, teacher, your parents, always your parents and seek help.
Other questions? Okay, got one up front.
My question is for the artist. Can you tell us, when you do these paintings, your feelings, like this one right here, this large one is very, very symbolic. With your mother, you're embracing your mother. Can you tell us your feelings, your thoughts, as you were painting this painting?
Well, I cried drawing it first. I felt it. It's hard. It's really hard to explain. It's not really hard to explain, but I could feel it in the brush and the stroke. If that makes sense. So I could feel the pain, and it was just coming, it was leaving. Like the pain was leaving as soon as I put it in the canvas every time. And a lot of tears, so much tears, to be honest. I almost got through the tears, and that's why you can kind of see the glasses going there. But yeah, it was very hard for me to paint though, especially with these stories as well. I could feel the pain. I wrote down each and every one of their stories, and I just put myself in their shoes, and just felt what they felt. I mean, I know I can't feel what they feel, but I tried my hardest to feel what they felt, and I put it on the canvas.
Thank you.
Okay, we got time for a couple more questions. So, anybody? All right, got one over here. Here.
Yes, hello. What do you feel most that you lost by leaving your own country?
Who was that to?
All
So for all of you.
of you?
Lo que perdí fue tiempo con mis hermanos, mi familia. Pasar yo creo más tiempo más que nada con mis padres.
What I feel like I lost when coming here was time with my family and being together with my parents.
years to go back to Mexico. So the first time that I saw my grandma, it was all tears and emotion. When I left, the memory, the image that I had from her was nothing compared to what I came home to. So just leaving her, and even when I left Mexico, leaving her behind, it broke my heart. I came to the country with my mom and my brother and sister, so I didn't know a lot of Mexico, but I did know enough to be proud of who I am. And I feel like that my mom has taught us about our culture enough to bring it to light here in this country, and it's something that I teach my own children, to be proud of who they are, to be proud of being Mexican Americans, to love the language, to love the culture and their traditions.
I would say for I would say for me, I came here really young, but when I went back to Sudan, it was definitely different. I always think, what if I had stayed in Sudan? My family's a lot larger there, so what would my life be like? Both of my parents back, what would my life be like? Can't really say what I've lost, but I know what I could have had.
And I think we're going to finish this up with one more question. I saw a hand.
Hello, this is actually a question for Tisa. What do you wish that people understood about the immigration experience?
What I wish they understood?
Yeah, like people in here, what do you wish that we have understood about it?
I would say understand that it takes a lot for people to come here, leave their family, leave their home, leave their culture. And even when people come here, they still aren't accepted. So it's very hard when people come here and your neighbor doesn't know English, needs help, who just needs just somebody to help them out. And people are not fully understanding what that person lost or what that person went through and what their story actually is. And so it's almost like kind of cliche, but just be kind to everyone because you don't know everyone's story. And so when people do come here from another country, understand that they're taking a big step in their life to come here.
It sounds like a perfect kind of ending on things, but what I'd like to do, yes.
I mean, I think all of us have our own image of what immigration or immigrating to a country is. Many of us have come to this country either as refugees, on visas, student visas. A lot of the people here are on scholarships coming into a new country. We all have our own journey. We all have our own process. But I think nowadays, the more that we hear on the media or on TV, we have come up with an idea that immigrating or immigrant is a bad word, or criminals, or seen as a negative way, and we have lost that view that we are all human. We all feel the same, we all bleed the same, we all thrive to have that family and love and to see our children thrive. Sharing our stories is never easy. Being up here is never easy, but the more that we do it, the more that we share that image that we are human beings, the more that people in our community and in our nation and in our world see us as individuals and not as what we are labeled.
So much in so little time. Again, thank you so much. What we're going to do is we're going to have come up and finish us out here. And again, we want to thank him. We want to thank all of you. We want to thank the Diversity Committee. But it's still, again, for most of this, we need to truly thank those 5 people that are standing up front.